What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Bass Kayak and Beers podcast, the real life show. We're going live. This is the first time I do a live show, so I'm hoping you guys can see me. Let me know if you are watching, if you are listening. Let me know in the comments because I have no idea if this is actually working or not, but I think it is. So, anyways, welcome to the Bass Kayak and Beers podcast. If you've never listened to any of our shows, if it's the first time listening, if it's the first time doing our live, this is my first time doing my live show too. So congratulations, we're both doing it at the first time. Also, if you are listening on an MP3 platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we're pretty much on every single podcast streaming platform out there wherever one you choose to listen to. Feel free to give us your 5-star review, your thumbs up, whatever rating system they use on your favorite podcast streaming platform. Go ahead and give us your thumbs up. Again, if you're new to our channel, we have 2 episodes on the Bass Kayak and Beers podcast. We run it every week. One is the one that you're listening to right now. It is called The Real Life. And it is basically just having great conversations with some of the content creators, tournament anglers, tournament directors, and personalities around the bass fishing and kayak bass fishing community. The second episode that we have weekly as well is the Advanced Kayak Angler that is hosted by Dan Perry. And that episode, as the title suggests, it is for tips, tricks, and techniques to learn to become a better angler. Dan covers all type of techniques. Usually we cater it by season. Whatever season it is, that's what the techniques he'll be covering during that time period. We also do some product reviews. We also talk some tournaments for those out there that want to get into tournament fishing. So that's basically it. Like I said, welcome to the real life and the Bass Kayak and Beers podcast. I wanted to hit a couple of notes here. First of all, on a serious note, most of you, um, know Jeff Milan, and if you don't know Jeff Milan, he's the founder and co-founder of the Cast by Bass Nation. Recently, his 6-month-old granddaughter was diagnosed with cancer. I think it's called neuroblastoma. It's a rare form of cancer that usually affects kids with 5 years or younger. And hold on, I'm getting some messages here from one of my guests. I hope I'm doing good. I am doing good from what I'm getting. So again, I apologize for those that are tuning in. This is brand new live show. So as I was saying, Jeff Malott, his granddaughter just got diagnosed with a rare form of cancer that affects 5 years old. I put the link in a benefit tournament that Ryan Lambert is hosting. And it's on Tourney X. So if you're watching on YouTube or on our Facebook, you can check out the comments. Should be the first comment, has the link to the tournament. It is on Tourney X. It's a $30 buy-in for the tournament. Basically, it's a raffle, right? You can post the pictures that you caught during the whole month, which is the whole month of February. But really, it's just the entry fee covers for you to participate in the raffle, and there's a bunch of great prizes that are going to be raffled off at the end of the month, and I'm sure they'll do it at the Kayak Bass Nation live show that comes probably the first Monday after February. So consider signing up. This will really help out Jeff Malot's family. This is, a 6-month-old granddaughter. She's in for the fight of her life, and we hope for the best outcome. And it's going to take her, it's going to take a while to fight this and to overcome it. But we hope that with everybody's help, they can afford the fight, and give her a chance for, kicking cancer in the teeth. So go consider helping out. Again, the link is on the comment section. If you want to check on Tourney X, is under Rowan's benefit tournament, or Rowan's Hero benefit tournament. So go check it out. Lighter side of news, congratulations to Ryan Nye. I think that's how you pronounce the last name. He just won the 10 at the KBF, one of the most prestigious tournaments that we have in kayak bass fishing. Only the top 10 and the winner of the 10 Invitational get to qualify for that tournament. So top 10, 11 anglers in the country get to take part in that tournament. So congratulations to Ryan Nye coming victorious, and congratulations to everybody that qualified. There's definitely no losers in that tournament. So with that being said, we're going to bring in our special guests. It is the Jabberhammer, Paul Roberts, and Alex Castonguay. He'll correct me if I'm wrong. They are the founders or co-founders of the Bass Brews. Did I say that right, Alex?
No, dude, it's Castonguay. You made it too fancy. It's normal. It's like Uruguay, but with a Caston on the front.
Well, I get nervous because I know Paul Jabberhammer is huge. It's big on, being grammatically correct. So it kind of gives me PTSD. My mom was an English teacher, so I know when I'm posting, if I don't say it right, Paul's gonna call us out. You know that, Alex, right?
I hadn't pronounced his name right since the first time I met him, and I refuse to at this point. I call him Alex Castonguay or something. I can't remember now.
Alex, Paul, how you guys doing, man?
Wonderful, dude.
Awesome to have you on. Pretty good. Can't complain. It is getting a little bit cold. I'm not going to lie. I'm having a little bit of cabin fever here because it's been icy and not even snow. It's just ice and sleet for the last 3 days. And I'm definitely not going to drive here in Texas with ice and sleet on the road because we're not used to it. And there's a lot of crazy people out there driving. So, yeah, I know. But I've been stuck in this house for 3 days. So I'm having a little bit of cabin fever.
He can't drive in no ice either.
I can. Thank you very much. But again, we're at somebody else's house, so let's not start bickering now, Paul.
Don't feel free. Yeah, that's what you guys are known for. Let's talk a little bit about the Bass and Brews because you have a unique podcast. It's not your typical let's learn how to do bass fishing. It's not your typical let's interview tournament anglers and see how they won. It's more of I don't know. You guys tell us what is it Bass and Brews is all about and how you got started with it.
Alex?
No. Paul's got this stupid catchphrase that he likes to tell our guests, so I'll let him start with that. Go ahead, Paul.
When I reach out to people who potentially have never heard of us or the podcast, which is the majority of folks, I lead off, hey, would you like to be on a shitty fishing podcast? It's called Bass and Brews. And imagine sitting around a campfire, drinking your favorite beverage, talking shit, talking fishing. And that's how I lead off with what it is that we do to give that mindset of, just, exactly that, sitting around talking like we're at, a tournament on Friday or Saturday night after a tournament, sitting around hanging out. It's just laid back, leisure, easy going. And we want to have a good time. Yeah, we're entertainment first, and depending on the guests that we have, because we have a guest every episode, we'll bring guests on that provide some education. But we're going to at least try to be entertaining before we do anything else, because there's not much education Alex or I can do unless it comes down to like TikTok.
Yeah. Paul, you said it great.
Right,
I think we have a nice niche, and it's it's that we're entertaining. Initially, I started the podcast. April will be 2 years ago, and I started the podcast with an idea of trying to put a platform for smaller content creators first. I think we have a ton of really good fishing content creators, and so people know that's kind of my background. Paul is the tournament guy. I'm the guy who likes to make, Paul, you're right. Yeah. Quote unquote tournament guy. Paul's there to basically donate money to people who are good at fishing. I'm there. I make the videos. That's kind of my thing. I wanted a platform for kind of those small creators that have stories to tell that sometimes some podcasts don't have. And I saw where the market was, where it was like heavy on the educational side, heavy on like kayak tournament recaps. And we definitely have our kayak tournament guys, but for the most part, we ask them questions they haven't been asked before. And a lot of times they're not even relevant to the tournament. We're just trying to learn about them and their story. So, fast forward a couple episodes, and I actually had Paul on as a guest. And then a couple episodes after that, I asked him to come on to be a co-host with it. And unfortunately, since then, I've been kind of, married to this. I feel like it's false advertising. Like, I don't want to be rude. Actually, that's not true. I'll be rude all the time to Paul. But we're talking about it in the green room. It's almost false advertising, because when Paul was first on the show, he was about 70 pounds lighter. The beard was a lot darker. He was just a really striking, good-looking man. And then, I get back, and this is what he looks like now. And it's just, it's a real shame. He's really not carrying the brand very well.
It happens. It happens when you have to carry the podcast by yourself for about a year, and all the stress that comes along with it. But look, doing a podcast is really fun. This is the fun part. This is the easy part.
Yeah.
All that other stuff, getting to this point, sometimes it isn't easy. And I got a business and all the stuff going on. We release on Fridays at 5 a.m. There were some weeks I was recording at 8 o'clock on a Thursday night. And so it was I put on some weight. Thanks, Alex. I hope you're proud of yourself.
I'll tell you what, we do release early because we have a lot of guys who listen to the show on their way to work, right? A lot of hardworking dudes out there. And so we release early. And that was one of the things I told Paul. If you guys don't know, so to add to the story, I had Paul on, and everything was going great. And then I was an active duty member of the United States Coast Guard, and I found out that I was going to have to deploy for my last year before retirement. And I had a conversation with Paul, and I'm like, hey, we got a great thing going on, but I'm going to be gone. Like, I'm going to be on a ship out in the middle of nowhere. I can't do it. So you're going to have to carry it. And Paul graciously kept this kind of pipe dream that I had to do this show. Paul did a great job. I say that as a whole, but to be specific, he did not do a great job of keeping up the standards. And that would mean that by the time there was specifically a time where we pulled into Dutch Harbor, Alaska. I'm done with my last patrol. I'm about ready to fly home. I don't know if any of you guys have been to Dutch Harbor, but they have 56K internet, basically. So I'm using all the data, and I pull up Instagram, and I've got 1 million messages. And they're from the whole last 2-3 months that I was on patrol. And it's like, why the hell is Paul releasing episodes at 5 p.m.? Why is Paul releasing episodes at 1 p.m.? Like, he totally missed the times.
It was never that late. It was 9 or 10, never that late. But that it happens sometimes. And when you got a 2-person team going on and you lose half the team, well, you lose. In our case, we lost half our team, but Alex did 90% of the shit that required the podcast to be posted in the social media, like 90%. The other 10% getting guests on and recording. Great. It was all the other stuff that kind of fell off on the wayside. But the goal was, I told him when we had this little conversation, I said the only goal I have is to put out an episode a week. That's the only goal that I have. That's the number one and the only thing that I'm going to do is put out an episode a week. And we hit that goal. As a matter of fact, I think since episode 4 or 5, somewhere in there, we haven't missed a week.
There you go. So basically, Paul, you were kind of like the Vanna White. You were the kind of like the eye candy there, and then Alex left, and you were like, now you have to do
soundboard.
Everything.
Thank you. That's the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me on a podcast, I believe.
What has been some of your favorite shows that you've recorded? And I know Alex Rod is going to be one of them. It seems like you guys have this crush on Alex Rod. I don't blame you. Alex is a great guy, but man, oh man, what a crush.
Listen, Alex has a crush on Rudd. I will say probably one of my top. It's hard to think about them because they all kind of, you've been doing this longer than us, Armando. They kind of run together. But the the one that is Country Boy Creek Fishing.
I was gonna say
And
that would be my favorite one.
That was probably some of the hardest I've laughed on this podcast was when we had him on. And then the podcast we did with Cupcake Coley was another one. We we laughed so hard. I was sore from laughing on that one. But those two are the first two that come to mind for me. And they were earlier episodes, but it was just we had two characters on in both of those folks, and we Alex and I did what we did. They just added a million times onto it.
I think for me, my favorite would be like more recently would be Pond Hopping VA. That guy's got a I don't know, a really excellent outlook on fishing and life in general. And then he literally had the best beaver answer that we've had ever on the show. I've heard you guys on this show are a little sensitive. So if you guys want to hear that, you can roll back to us and then you can find out. And then I think I'm going to be, man crushy here. And I'm going to say it's actually the Paul episode because that's when I realized. So at that point, the show was heavily scripted, like heavily. I had a 1 hour, 45-minute timeline. Like a 1 hour was like, that would be the biggest name in the world, right? In my eyes, I would never run over an hour. And I had a really set of questions that I was going to ask. And they were very specific. And I didn't leave any room for, like the extra stuff that happens on these podcasts that usually makes them great, right? And I really was devoid of that. And then Paul comes on and he literally, I remember like I ran through because I recently re-listened to the episode. And I remember there's a point where I know that I ran out of questions and Paul just didn't stop talking. And there's a couple times where I tried to end the episode and he's like, nope. And we went on for almost 2 hours. I think it's at the 2 hour mark. For the longest time, it was the longest running episode that we had. And it was kind of at that moment where like Paul showed me, because you can kind of see the episodes after that where like Paul showed me that I should be more freeform. We should be more freeform on this. There's a lot of like news style podcasts where they're just going 1, 2, 3 all the way down the list. And those are great podcasts, but that is not something that I excel at. So Paul brought that out. And then I was like, oh man, this guy's a crazy SOB. I should bring him along. And,
here we are.
So to be honest with you, Alex, I've been on a couple of podcasts along with Paul. Like I've been on the Bass Brews when you were deployed. Mm-hmm. I've been on, what was it? Faith and Fishing podcast. I think both me and Paul were guests on it. I've had Paul on my podcast, I think about a total of 3 times, and I've never been less than 2 hours talking to Paul. It's funny because my wife's actually preparing dinner and she's like, it's going to be like usual hours, like not today. But I mean, that's one of the things I've had people come up and tell me some of my favorite episodes I've been with Paul. Well, I only had Paul once, but that's been one of the favorite episodes just because, man, you just go off script. And there's nothing more or nothing better as a podcast host that have someone that talks more than you do. Like I feel like people, I mean, there have been episodes where I tackle a subject that I feel that needs to be addressed and I'll do a solo episode because I feel like my opinion may be controversial to other people and I don't want to bring other people along and get dragged into my opinion. But for the most part, I feel like in the podcast, I don't want people to come and listen to me, but come and listen to my guests, talk about my guests. Because it's, like we were talking about, we have Dan Perry who hosts the Advanced Kayak Angler. That's more of a learning, educational podcast. This is just to have fun and introduce other people to, other brands and content creators and tournament anglers and all that and help grow the sport of kayak fishing. Having said
Armando, hold on. It sounds very similar to Bass Brews. I feel like, I think you owe us some royalties on this one here.
I would venture to say who started first, and then we can talk about the royalties.
Put him in his place.
That's very true. That's very true.
And beers. And you might have a trouble with that guy from Tennessee that has bass and beers as well. What's his
He
name?
does
But
have
he
bass
does
and
the
beers.
YouTube channel. Yeah,
Yep.
YouTube channel. I forgot his name. I have had him on my podcast. So the flip side to this, what's been, if you can say it, if you feel comfortable saying it, what's been your least favorite? And you can just put me as your least favorite, Paul. But what's been your least favorite episode? The one that you're like, God, I wish we could take this back.
All right. I won't. All right. So I can't name a specific episode. I will say we've had some episodes, and this kind of happens where, all right. So people think sometimes because of how the show's formatted, because we are very like loose in how we handle everything, but we do make sure that like our internet's good if we can. There was a while there where I was recording out of a Motel 6 in Oakland, so that couldn't be helped. But we do, and we have had some guests where like they're all ready to go, and they're like, "Yeah, I got this," and then when they come on, it's like trash internet. They're constantly dropping out. The internet's so bad that the audio won't even catch up, right? Because we run StreamYard, kind of what you're doing here, and or exactly what you're doing here. Like we both use StreamYard, but you know, like if a guest has a bad connection, we can always just tell them to turn off the video, and usually the audio will be fine. But we've had guests where that didn't even work, and sometimes that, like hot take, that's the most frustrating for me. Like, and a lot of them are like, well, you know, you guys are just fucking around, or sorry, you guys are just messing around. And well, it's like we're not. Like we are trying to put out a good product for everybody. It's just, you know, the subject is light, but all the work behind the scenes to make this chill podcast, it's a lot of work to make it happen.
Yeah, same thing here. I mean, it's just we're an audio podcast. It goes out on Swamp Rat Fishing on YouTube, but that's and Outsitting can talk about that. That was one of the things that he started the podcast for, was to drive people to his YouTube channel, and then he realized that the podcast was a better platform for him than YouTube. But we put out the video version on the YouTube, but the audio is where we are. And you know, some of that's our fault too. We don't pre-record. We record the week of, Tuesday or Wednesday typically, and then it drops on Friday.
Yep.
So you know, we don't have any pre-recordings. And is that stressful sometimes? Yes, but it's also not, in another aspect, that because we're pulling folks from social media, there's an unlimited amount of people we can go to. But you know, we don't always have that opportunity to test the internet, or something goes wrong. I mean, golly, just a few weeks ago, I start a podcast, the intro music comes in, it ends, and my internet dies. And then we've got and Alex isn't here. He's going to be 30 minutes late. Is with the One Cast crew. My internet dies, and they're just sitting there. All three of them just sitting there waiting on me to restart my internet. But the audio side is the internet connections, the episodes where that audio is not good. It's just difficult because what you get is you get people walking on each other. There's that delay. So, you know, it just makes it hard on those episodes where the audio isn't good. But we understand that. That's just the way we run the show, kind of just fly by the wind, feather in the wind. That's just what it is, and we roll with it. We make it work as well as we can, and yeah, we make it happen however we can make it.
Yeah, that's especially with the live show. That I think that's one of the things that you're like, oh my God, you know, especially I think, well, like you guys are content creators, right? You're podcasters and all that. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna have a problem with it. You know, technology can always go down the wayside, but I know you guys know what you're doing. A lot of times when you get like tournament anglers that are just focusing on winning tournaments, they're not good with social media, and that's no knock on them. It's just they're focused on doing tournament things, fishing, right? So a lot of it is like that challenge of being able to do a live show where the internet, or they'll just do it on their phone. They'll get a call in the middle of a conversation and stuff like that. There's always that challenge, and that you're out there. People are listening to you. People are watching you on live, and you don't want to put something out there that people are going to see. Oh, well, that sucks. You can't listen to them. You can't hear them. That's the most nerve-wracking thing, I think.
No. I mean, that's huge. You said it before, like how you run your show. We kind of run the same thing on like our show. We always tell our guests when they come on, like, this show is for you. This is kind of what you make out of it. A lot of times the first people coming on, like, this is for you to get yourself out there. We want to hear stories, everything, all of that. And then sometimes you'll get folks who like get nervous. We've had a couple people get nervous, and I like Paul mentioned the Country Boy creek fishing. My man was nervous through the whole first half of that episode. And then he loosened up to be one of the best episodes we've ever had. It's not that he did bad. He was just very, like, you could tell he was nervous. And as we move forward, we still see that. It's not so much a gripe, but sometimes as a host, like my wife will, like, I'll come upstairs and she's like, what happened? I was like, wow, me and Paul had to work. We had to work a little bit to get it, the show going and get it pushing. But you are right. I mean, most times, I would say 9 times out of 10, because we center on a lot of content creators. These folks know how to talk to a camera. They know how to talk to a microphone. They know how to carry a story.
And
go ahead, Paul. My apologies.
I was going to say, for Alex and I, we're a team. So the majority of time now, moving forward, all the time, is him and I both. And so if we get that guest that is nervous, Alex and I can do our little, Abbott Costello back and forth, and you can kind of see them lean back a little bit and get comfortable. And I call it asking the Oprah questions. Like Alex said, it's your podcast. When you come on, our job is to make sure that it's recording. And I've had that happen once. We're recording through 45 minutes.
Oh, I had that happen once.
Yeah, I know.
So embarrassing, man. That was so embarrassing.
It was with Frankie, the head cheese provolone. And anyways, we missed so much good stuff. But our thing is to ask the Oprah questions. We want to ask that question where that person can then take it and talk for 2-3 minutes and tell their story. But us being there together, we can feel some of those gaps where in the beginning, if they're nervous, we haven't had bad guests that just couldn't articulate. We've not had that. Nervousness has been the biggest thing with the guests that we've had on, which is kind of funny to me because we aren't even a big podcast. I mean, we're small crumbs in this world, especially in the fishing world podcast. But they get on camera, the camera's there. Our show is not live. Now, we do some live shows, but the show is not live most of the time. But it is live because whatever happens gets posted. The editing we do is, probably it's none. We don't edit nothing. So
that's funny thing
you turn that camera on, and I'm just saying, when you turn that camera on and you get to talking, you get those folks that just haven't been in the situation before. Me, you put me in front of a camera or a microphone and want to talk fishing.
No, you don't even need to do that. You put Paul in front of a mirror like a parrot. He'll talk to himself about fishing until he turns blue.
I'll talk the ears.
Let me defend Paul. Let me defend Paul on this. Alex, you know very well Paul is like the best sidekick you can have.
Yeah.
Because like you said, if your guest is not, whatever reason, it's not working out the connection, you can always fall back on Paul. And Paul he's going to say something that's going to have people cracking up. So for all the hate that Paul gets.
And I want to make sure, like Paul said, like we do an Abbott and Costello, like I don't want people to think it's fake. Like me and Paul have never met in real life. He's one of my best buddies at this point. Like we've been doing this Bass Brews journey together. He was nice. What's up, Chris? He was nice enough to like I got emails from Paul underway in the middle of the Arctic. Like, Paul's the man. He, you know, he's a great dude. Again, he like saved the show. This whole dream I had of doing the show, he saved it, and he's done all right. He's done all right. He is a still a very large man, and I'd like him to be smaller. But
I can outpedal him in speed and distance any day of the week though, and I'll load
That's-
my kayak down.
that's one, you can't outpedal me because you have a crappy Hobie that has a drive that squeaks and needs maintenance. While I have a real kayak that you don't need any of that.
Well,
Yeah.
let me ask you this, Alex, because I know Paul is always posting pictures of him catching fish. I've yet to see you. Well, now I've yet to see you hold a fish on your social media. So
All
I'm
right.
starting to question here. Like, is this like Ernie Johnson on NBA on TNT on NBA, where Ernie Johnson, just the white guy that does the anchor, and then you have Shaquille O'Neal in charge back to actually play? What's
Listen,
going on?
Armando, one, I take huge offense. I come onto your show and you dare to run me through the mud. I already get enough on my own show. I don't need it from another show. But also, you can just head to the Bass and Brews podcast TikTok, which I exclusively run now. And there's been way more fish than Paul has gotten, because Paul hasn't fished in like 4 months. I think the last time I talked to Paul about fishing, he thought I meant like catfishing, as in he tries to look like a skinny man and tries to get people to hang out with him.
I don't. Go ahead, Paul. I'll let you.
No, I was going to say it
give you a
don't make
chance
no
to defend
sense, but I
yourself.
haven't fished in a while. I ain't been fishing in a while for sure. But Alex carries the Bass and Brews Tick Attack, and you go to mine. I'll post some fishes when I catch them. Hopefully again here
It's
soon.
been a hot minute. It's been a hot minute, Paul. You've been posting more grocery store content than anything else.
Yes. Look, if y'all are trying to get views, if you want to get your view feel in to make yourself feel good in a bad day, walk into a gas station and just say, y'all look, and then show something on the shelves and then go, wow, and post it. Takes 7 seconds. Thousands, tens of thousands of views on some stupid little stuff like that. It's wonderful.
TikTok's a weird
I do.
place.
While you're talking, I did check out the Bass and Brews TikTok. Like Paul said, I did find a couple of
A couple
nice
I
hook
just
sets
posted.
there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll
Actually, I did a
give
whole
you
montage. As somebody who hasn't fished in a long time either, you got to remember, I didn't come back from Cali. I didn't fish at all in Cali. You know what I mean? And wait, what is Emily saying? No, he does not
Hold
look
up.
good, Emily. Go back to that one.
That's my,
You look
that's my
legit.
sister. She got me the light that's illuminating all this handsomeness.
Emily, you got him a great light, but he doesn't know how to use it. He looks like a washed out manatee right now.
I look beautiful. I have run a light test, and this is the setting that they said makes me look more handsome than I already am.
I don't know, man. I think they're lying to you.
Alex, let's go back to you on your retirement. So you did work since you were like, I think you said 18 years old. For the last 20 years, you worked at the Coast Guard. Now it's back to the life of a civilian. How have you adjusted to that? Has it been a hard adjustment, or are you kind of like getting used to it quickly?
All right, so to be completely honest, the adjustment has not been as easy as I actually thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like, I was really excited to get out, right? Like you said, I did join at 18. I'm 38 now. That's 20 years, 1 month of service in the Coast Guard.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you, bud. And
by the way, thank you for what you did to protect
thank
our
you.
coast.
Thank you. Yeah, so in that whole span, we kind of touched on it in the green room. Like, I was a pretty like angsty, excuse my language, but like shitty teenager, and I needed direction. And I joined the military for said direction. And from 18 on, I kind of grew up in the service. And not to say I put everything, into it, but you definitely I don't know, it kind of takes over some of your identity, right? And I did that for a long time. And then this last year was a real, like, kind of a gut punch, right? Like I thought I'd be able to stay at home, finish my last year, and I didn't. I got sent to the Bay Area to go be
What?
on yet. What's up?
You got sent out twice. You went out
Quite,
one time and thought you were done, and they got
yeah.
sent out again.
Yeah. So initially they were like, "Hey, you're gonna go to the Bay Area." They literally, after, at that point I'd almost hit 19 years, and the Coast Guard said, "You don't get to stay where you're at, where you're planning to retire at, which is the Philadelphia area. You are gonna go, because of your experience, you're gonna go all the way back to California and get on a ship again. But don't worry, it's only gonna be one patrol." And it ended up being two patrols while I was out. And in a way, that was kind of like a I don't know, it's a 50-50 thing. Like, obviously I didn't want to leave, so my family stayed here in South Jersey because there's no reason for them to move uproot. And I actually just lived on the ship for the whole year, which I don't know, if you're a 37, 38-year-old man and you're used to kind of living in your house, doing your thing, and then all of a sudden you're living on a ship with no car, eating food on the boat, it's quite the shocker. But I will say, like, what I mean by 50-50 is, it was good because I got to work with a lot of junior members. As somebody who's been in a long time, and the position that I was at on land, I didn't really have a direct line with a lot of really junior members. And all of a sudden I get thrown into where I am the fourth oldest person on the boat. And literally I had 3 people underneath me that when I got into the Coast Guard, they were not alive. Like, they were so young. And that was kind of cool to be able to kind of imprint, be the crusty old man, kind of taught me, because it's a whole different generation. That's the whole thing too. I joined in 2003. It's a lot has changed since then. So it was good to see that. And a bad way was, like, I didn't get to, like, fully kind of cut the cord because I was so involved. I was away from my family. So the biggest thing that I could do for that last year was actually, like, jump into my work, because I'd rather do that than worry. I have 2 daughters and a wife here. I miss them terribly. And instead of, like, focusing down on that, I focused on work. And where it bit me in the butt is when I got out. And I was really excited at first. And then I did hit, like, a lull of, like, almost a loss, right? Like, you miss the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the family of the service that is instantly built in. I'm going to tell you what, like, every service member, when we do these moves and all that, it's usually tougher on our family, because we know when we show up to a new unit, give us like 2 weeks, we're going to be best buds with all of these people instantly, because we just have a built-in family that just happens. You know what I mean? So it's been weird. It's been getting better. Wish I could get a job faster. So, but no, like, it's been getting better. But it was definitely, it's funny you mentioned it, and this was not set up. I'm going to do, like, a whole YouTube video, because it's not, I don't know. I feel like it's an unwritten thing. Like, people don't talk about that transition enough. And it's definitely a shock. Civilian world is way different than military world. Oh, Tori, hey, your stickers, I just got them yesterday because I jacked up your address so bad that they returned to sender. So
And you can't
they're
blame
gonna go
Paul
in the
for
mail.
this one.
No, it was all on me. So they're gonna go in the mail tomorrow, and I got some extra goodies for you too. But I completely jacked that up. I put California. You don't even live in California. I completely jacked up your order. That's my fault.
You put California
I did.
so the reason why this is really bad is Tori is the Bass and Brews historian.
Yeah.
And Alex, that's like being mean to the person that signs your checks
I know.
at work, and you don't get paid 1 week. Like, oh, what happened? It's like, oh, you remember when you're mad? He's
Listen,
made the historian mad. I don't
I
know
know,
what to do
Tori.
with this.
I know, Tori. I got extra stickers coming, and I've got some Bass and Brews colored jigs coming your way as well.
Oh, I ain't got them jigs before. Oh, probably. I probably hadn't got those jigs, and it's amazing. Tori's gonna get some because every time he ties on a jig, he throws it off.
You
Like on the
son
cast.
of- Why are we doing this again? We're at somebody else's house, and you got to bring it up again. I'm over it.
This man was in the Coast Guard and can't tie a knot to keep a jig on.
There you go.
What
You're
kind of knot
insulting
is
your own
not who he
Patreons.
is.
That's not
I
a
know.
good business model.
No, well,
Paul.
okay. So we have a Patreon, but we have 0 because, because I can't send out stickers on time. You're right, Tori. I feel really bad. I meant to send you a message today, but I definitely got that thing returned to sender yesterday. But there'll be some goodies tomorrow.
How did you? She's in North Carolina. The state
I know.
They start with the C.
I know, and I wrote
Totally
California.
the
Not
opposite way.
only did I write California, but then I put my own zip code because I was like off. Yeah, no. Listen, my wife is the mail person, not me.
This is the people that protect our coast, everyone.
Oh, great. So we can be clear. We're adding Paul and Armando to the list of people who hate the troops.
So Armando, Alex, over the last at least 3 or 4 episodes, has been telling people to send him their resume because he's going to replace me as co-host. Don't send yours in because it's probably going to be thrown right out. He's going to see the cover letter and start at the top and see Armando Salah. And he's
Listen,
like, nope.
No. Armando, you were at the top of the list, but now that I found out that you hate the troops,
I don't hate the
bottom.
troops. Please don't say that. Please
Alex,
do
you just
not
said it.
say
You
that.
just
Alex,
said
this
it.
is somebody else's podcast. You can't do that.
You do not say that. I actually was some of my favorite podcast episodes. And I remember the first one that I got. It was Matt Souders, who actually does co-host for the Final Cast product review on Paddle and Fin, was talking about PTSD, and from that point on, I would seek out Frank Twiggy Reed is another one of my favorite episodes. And for those that don't know Frank Twiggy Reed, Twiggy is like what we lovingly call him. He used to parachute into the middle of a war zone to take out the enemy and then find a way to get out. And when you think about from that going to, okay, well, your career is done now, go back to civilian life. His life story is amazing. I mean, and that I really enjoy interviewing people that served in the military and served the armed forces that get involved in kayak fishing, because I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah, and you don't have to suffer from PTSD or depression or any reason, or any of those reasons to actually enjoy kayak bass fishing. But it's wonderful to see that people that use kayak bass fishing as a way to help them just get back to the life of civilian, or actually just, being able to reconnect and find serenity in their life. I know I got frozen there. You guys able to hear everything?
Yeah, we heard you.
You good?
All right. I'll tell you what. I left. So I got into fishing kind of late in life, right? I fished a lot as a kid. I'm originally from Tacoma, Washington, a suburb of Seattle, right? And I got into fishing in, I'm trying to think now, what was that? 2016, into bass fishing. Never fished for Bass Fit ever. And I got into it because I needed exactly what you said. Some kind of, what's the right word for it? Something to clear my mind. The previous tour, a release. That's perfect, Paul. Yep.
Pressure relief.
Because prior to that, the ship that I was on before, we lost a Coast Guard member in the middle of a search and rescue case. We were up in Alaska, and I lost a buddy of mine. He died in the line of duty, saving multiple people. And it's something special about sitting in that little plastic boat that like brings you like a centering. For me, it centers me. Like I'm able to just kind of like push everything away. It was the greatest thing ever. And it took me a year to get into a kayak, and I bank fished and all that, and that was great. But when I first got in, pushed off the shore, it was like a huge weight lifted off of me for no reason. Yeah. It's amazing. I love kayak fishing. I think it's great. I think it's way better than that glitter boat crap. But no, yeah, it's a real important.
It has
thing.
its benefits, definitely.
It does.
when you can see that too. If you go look at Alex's YouTube videos, you can see a passion for just being out on the water when he makes his videos. I mean, he catches fish and he shows the fish catches, but he's given that experience that he's having on the water then, and he's really good with creating that experience through the videos.
Paul, let me ask you this.
Hold on.
Okay, go ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
Did I get a compliment from Paul? Oh my goodness.
You want me to timestamp it and send it to you?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do. I want a clip of it because I want to make sure that's never happened. He's never complimented my videos ever, and he's probably lying, but I'll take it.
Hey, look, Armando,
the ice around the heart is melting.
Hey, here's the deal, though, Alex. Before you post what I said on Armando's podcast, now you got to call and ask me if it's okay to use it.
The what?
Nothing.
I'm not going to comment on that one.
What were you going to say, Armando?
All right, hold on.
I got lost on that one.
No, I'll do it. So we had an episode. It was with the Alex Rudd. It was the Is Bass Fishing a Sport episode, right? Very controversial episode. And without naming names, another podcast covered that episode, right? Like they covered that we had a great episode. And then in the middle of that podcast, they had mentioned that they had talked to Alex Rudd to ask him permission to use the clip from our show on theirs without talking to us at all. And like, to be honest, that kind of burned my britches. Like, there's another podcast and they're friends of ours, but they completely circumvented asking us.
But it doesn't matter because when you and Alex and I have had this conversation before, when you put the stuff out on the internet, it's open source, baby. When you put it out there, it's open
stop.
source.
We talked about this 2 episodes ago. Again, like I did a snippet on TikTok, right, where he specifically states like what makes a pro fisherman, right? It was a very, again, another hot button topic, and some other TikToker who follows us just blatantly copied the video, didn't even take the watermarks off, just put it up on his page and was like, what are your thoughts on this? Like, instead of like tagging us or any of like the normal respectful things. I think that's garbage. I hate that. We work really hard to like, all right, so me and Paul worked really hard to cultivate this thing where we can talk to people.
Sorry,
we're
going
Armando.
here.
Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead,
I'm going to use your platform.
I've had that happen with somebody. I've had people ask me, hey, can I copy? I'm like, yeah, go ahead for it. I can't stop you anyway, so thank you for asking.
There you go. Yeah. You put this shit out on the internet, baby. This mine. It's as much mine as it is yours.
No, I think that's bullshit. Like, people like me and Paul have worked really hard to be able to, I don't know. So you're right, fanboying on Alex, right? But we get a lot of like truth from Alex. There's no like BS. And a lot of people have said, like, because that's just the environment we have on our show. And it wasn't always like that. We have built that. And then for you to come in and like snipe my content and not even tag me. Like, if you would have tagged me, it would have been fine. And I know it probably shouldn't piss me off, but it does. Like, we worked really hard on that. And then you won't even give credit where credit's due. Like, you can go F yourself, I guess. Yeah, and Tori, you only love Rudd because he noticed you catching big smallmouth, but we haven't seen you catch big fish in years after that.
Yeah, Alex shouldn't be mad about that, but we will, as the podcast world likes to say, digress.
Yeah.
To whatever Armando was going to ask us 10 minutes ago before Alex got on his soapbox, poured water on it, and went sliding down the hill of getting his panties in a wad.
You know how much work it is? Hold on. You know how much work it is to like do the cutouts too? Like, it doesn't seem. Yeah.
We know. All right, Armando, take your podcast back over before me and Alex.
No, this is fine, man. I've always said, I want my guests to talk more than I do. So this is definitely fun. But I get it. I've had like 2 Instagram reels that went viral, and I noticed a couple of people just like copied it, and then other people just messaged me. It's like, hey, can I copy it? I'm like, can't stop you. So yeah, go ahead. Just tag me on it. Right. Give me some credit for it.
That's why I
But
love TikTok, because that platform gives
TikTok.
you the opportunity to do that and make it fun. That's why that platform is what it is.
But that's why that pissed me off. Like that guy
Oh
could
my
have easily just stitched it, right?
He
And
did.
then
He
threw
took
his
way
own
more
face on it.
time. I feel good in the heart that he took the time to circumvent all that, to do that. I feel honored because it took more time to do it that way than the other way.
No.
So now the podcast thing, the hot take, that's interesting. Like, who can you mention who
That's
got
all
you there?
Alex
I
there,
feel like
baby.
this is gonna be a good rabbit
That's
hole to
all.
go
That's
through.
all. That's all Alex, and I'll lead into letting him talk about that. But he mentioned it to me, and for everybody that's listening to this, if you ever listen to our podcast and you actually hear some breaking news, I'm hearing it for the first time too. Alex has come on this podcast not too long ago, a month and a half or 2 months ago. It was like, we're changing the name of the shotgun round.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? No. And I can't remember what stupid name he had. But
Last call.
he did give me a heads up on the unpopular fishing opinions. And boy, that was a couple weeks of gloriousness.
Yeah, the unpopular opinions, I felt like it fits
Those are good.
as Tori. Yeah, I mean, as Tori would call
Some
it,
of
the
them pissed me
Babcast.
off, but some are good.
Which ones pissed you off?
I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. For the most of it's like 9 out of 10, I'm like spot on, and then there's one
Yeah.
that I'm like, I just want to, throw my phone against the wall and unfollow Bass and Brews. But I can't remember which one it
Success.
was.
Success.
Yeah, that's what that's what it is.
I mean,
That's what it is.
honestly,
that's what it's supposed to be.
a lot of them I sat down and I like literally sat in front of this camera here, and I back recorded a bunch of them, and they weren't. All right, so an unpopular opinion is that they weren't just for clicks and views.
Conversation starter.
Yeah, they're conversation starters, and a lot of them I believe that if you're in a John boat and you roll up to a boat ramp and you tell a kayaker to just get a boat because they have too much stuff, I think they can go shove it. How about you get a real boat? You got basically a poor man's kayak with your crappy John boat, so you can suck it.
That one I have to agree with. So
right,
I'm curious, what did ended up being, because I'll be honest with you, I haven't listened to that one.
Sure.
I listened to most of them, but I haven't caught up with that one. What was the consensus, I guess, the opinion at the end? Is it or is it not a sport?
I think so we even left that, like, literally we ran ourselves into circles on that one towards the end, and it really comes down to like what you define a sport as.
Exactly, yeah.
And the three of us on that show, Big Rudd Big Alex, as Paul would say, Little Alex, and Paul all had different opinions on it. And to be honest, like, I still feel bad about that episode because Rudd got a lot of hate on it. I think that was a good episode because it brought up like a lot of questions. And the only thing that sparked me to do that episode is I am getting tired of people when you look at their profile and they say like MLF Pro, and then they say they do like the Toyota series. Well, that's a pay to play bullshit series that's out there. Like, you're not a pro. You know what I mean? Yeah. Tori's right. But yeah, I don't agree that just because you fish tournaments, all of a sudden you're a pro fisherman. That is, I don't think that's what it is.
Yeah, but the question wasn't pro or not pro. The question was, is it a sport? And that's the overall
and I don't
theme
think it's
of
a
it.
sport.
Right. You don't.
I don't.
I do. But
what is it? I mean, it goes back to what's your definition of what's a sport. So what is it that doesn't define it as a sport? Let me ask you that.
So for me, it's because, all right, so you as an angler have no way to affect the other anglers that you're fishing with. Like, there has to be a direct conflict between two people to make a sport. So like baseball, you have a pitcher versus a batter versus a fielder. Basketball, you have offense versus defense. There's no.
So track and field is not a sport. Swimming,
Yeah,
it's not a sport.
Okay, so in my eyes,
I'm asking.
no,
I'm just asking.
Yeah. No, that's just exercising. Like exercise competitions. Like competition and sport, I think are totally two different things. So you can be competitive, and we covered that in the episode where we talked about how just because money's involved, a lot of people think it's a sport. Correct, Drew. You're right. Golf is not a sport. If you listen to the episode, I make the extremely controversial take that it's not a sport.
Y'all, this was a long episode.
It is.
So
You
y'all gonna
guys-
get Alex talking about this, and Armando, me and you gonna be gone, and he's gonna be the one over here trying to still give his definition.
Just leave
of
him
what a
the keys.
sport
Close
is.
up when you're done. Hit
Yeah,
the end
yeah.
record.
No, I think
It's gonna be going live till 2:00 in the morning,
Mention
and
the
he's still not
sponsors.
gonna have made a point on if it's a sport or not. He is what we did. We all talked around and circled.
Yeah, we talked around it. I
The
think it's a
dictionary
competitive-
version of a sport is an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or others for entertainment. That right there makes fishing a sport.
It does not.
out-
Kayak fishing, yes, a sport. Bass boat fishing, not a sport. And you're right,
Oh
Drew.
my God.
Drew, you're absolutely right. Golf is the closest thing to tournament fishing. Golf and bowling are the closest thing to sorry, Tori threw me off with that one. Are the closest thing when we talk about bass fishing as a sport. Those are the triangle of I want to be a sport, but I'm really not one. I'm just a bunch of dudes that like to gamble for money, and I want to feel better by calling it a sport.
I wouldn't call it an athlete. I'll say that. I don't think because you're a bass fisherman, especially on a boat, you're not an athlete.
Correct.
Maybe in a kayak, but never now kayaks, most of them have motors. So I wouldn't call myself an athlete. I take part in national trails, local trails, like Paul, just donating money for the most part. So I wouldn't call it an athlete. Now,
See,
calling it
go
a
ahead.
pro, that's a whole different subject. Because if you call it a pro, to me, let's say Fluke Master, Gene Jensen, Greg Blanchard, those are people that get paid to promote content. And yes, every now and then they'll do tournaments, but that's not where their money comes from. Their money comes from advertisements and product placement and all that. That's a pro because that's your main source of income. Yeah.
Edwin Evers said it perfectly. The biggest key to be a pro in fishing is to be a good marketer.
Yeah.
Right? It has nothing to do with you winning tournaments. Everybody thinks because you win a shit ton of tournaments that all of a sudden you're a pro, right? The real pros are good marketers. And that might be from winning some tournaments, but it's also because they do videos. If anybody, like the last 3 years, look at the explosion of like Jacoby Wheeler, of Latimer, of Brian Latimer, all these people who have exploded due to their online presence on doing content creation. All that really is marketing. Ike, exactly. Yeah. Ike was out of the game for a whole year. People still called him a pro, but he didn't fish for a year. And when I posed this question, people got pissed. And I was like, well, he hasn't fished for a year. Well, he's still a pro. Well, no, he hasn't, because my definition of a pro is if you make money off of fishing, no matter what you're doing. Right? So content creation makes you a pro fisherman then? Right?
My opinion, yeah. If that's your job, that's what's bringing home the bread. Yeah. And I'll take, for example, like Russ Snyder and Cody Milton. None of those two guys really do social media.
Mm-hmm.
Their main source of income is because they're constantly getting in the money and in tournament. Now, if you can make a tournament winnings, who am I to say you're not a pro? You know, but I mean, that's, you can count with one hand how many people can actually pull that off.
In the kayak world, yes, like the big boat world, there's probably more people who could probably pull it off, but in the kayak world, yeah, it's very few. But I think like people, I think you're absolutely right. There's very few people, and if you want to be a pro kayak fisherman, you better be good at marketing and you better be good at content creation.
Well, that goes the content creation where we are today in fishing specifically is content creation that started back in the 2010-ish time frame, where these YouTubers in the fishing world started making that content. That's changed the professional side of
Correct.
fishing, where now
Yeah.
you have people who do not fish tournaments to make a living, who are professional anglers because they make a living from fishing. They're creating content to make that, but they're not making a living tournament fishing.
Hey,
All
Tori,
that is
I would say Christine does have it because she does win tournaments, but she's also a hell of a salesperson. She can
Yeah.
sell the crap out of stuff because she's good. She's personable. Like she's actually probably got one of the more well-rounded because she does cash a lot of checks, but she can also sell the hell out of a product too.
And
makes
she
great
stands
content.
out. And I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't want people to take this as the wrong way or take this as being
Like how you hate the
evidence.
troops.
Yeah. No, stop saying that, please. You're gonna get me canceled. But she stands out. Tall,
Yeah.
slender, blonde,
Yep.
in a fish is 99% guys, and
Yep.
it's not just that. It's the fact that she can kick everybody's behind on the water because
Correct.
she's good, or maybe better than 99% of the guys that are fishing out there. So it's not just that, but it does bring that element. Okay, this is somebody that stands out more. So
Yep.
there's going to be, that's where non-endemic companies come in. Like you see, she's sponsored, I think, by Tin Cup Whiskey.
Tin Cup Whiskey.
Yep.
That's non-endemic. But again, that's her presence on it. And I'm not trying to take anything away from, again, she is one of the top anglers. I mean, she's won money on boat tournaments. She's even won tournaments fishing out of a Sea-Doo or jet ski or
Arizona
this
somewhere.
Yeah. So I mean, she'll catch, she'll kick anybody's behind no matter what watercraft she's fishing out of, for sure.
And talking about the social media side of pro angling, kayak fishing wouldn't be where it is today if it wasn't for social media. Social media has driven the growth of kayak fishing and competition in kayak fishing. It wouldn't be where it is today if it wasn't for those folks that got on YouTube in 2007, 8, 9, 10, Gene Jensen and
Chad Hoover.
Chad Hoover and Greg, that really started to put people to be able to watch and understand what kayak fishing was, and that you could fish out of a kayak, and you could catch big fish, and you could catch a lot of fish, and you could do a lot of stuff in a kayak. And it was interesting because you were Drew Gregory going up rapids and fishing these skinny creeks and doing stuff like that. So kayak fishing wouldn't be where it is today if it wasn't for social media. Because speaking of Drew Turner from Paddler's Playbook, the saltwater kayak guys have been around a lot longer, fishing competitively for money and big money than the freshwater guys, but they didn't really have a huge social media presence. And then the freshwater guys started creating that.
And I don't know if you remember, what is it, Discovery Channel? When those reality TV shows started coming up, like The Deadliest Catch and Wicked Tuna and all that. There was one season, forgot the name of that show. It was like 5 or 6 guys and one lady kayak fishing out in Hawaii, open water, and they actually made a TV show out of it. God, I forgot the name of it. Now it's gonna stick in my mind, but it lasted one season. And I've actually talked to one of the guys that was kind of like the star on that show, and I've been meaning to get him on the podcast, but as you can imagine, him being in Hawaii, me being in Texas, time restraints is different, because I'm really interested in why that show, it was even though it was successful, it kind of they for whatever reason season number 2 was never green light. But that was and we're talking about what, 15 years ago. I mean, and that was a popular show back then. God, I forgot the name of it. I don't know if somebody here in the comments
Drew
might
said
remember the
Battlefish
names.
or something.
No, Battlefish was
or
on.
something like that.
Well, that was on
No.
Netflix. That had to deal with the albacore tuna fishing fishery
Yeah.
off of Oregon, and that
Yeah.
was a solid show, like full of curse words, unlike Deadliest Catch. Also real, unlike Deadliest Catch.
Deadliest Catch
So
was
that's great.
amazing.
No, Deadliest Catch is fake as shit, Armando.
Alex.
Some of
Fake
it,
as
I mean,
shit.
I want to. I've never been there, so you were the Coast Guard. So if you say it, I believe you. But
I'm gonna tell
coming
you
from
right
an
now,
ign-
when
I
they
don't believe
say,
him. I don't
listen,
believe him. I
when
love
they
Deadliest
go-
Catch. He is not going to ruin.
No.
He is not going to
I
ruin.
mean, there's some
When I wait
elements
for a
that
whole damn season to come out so I can binge it in like 2 days, I'm not going to let Alex Castonguay ruin that shit for me.
I specifically remember watching a season, and they were like, "We're out here by ourselves. There's no one around. I don't know what we're gonna do." And then I remember, because I'm like 100
Pacific
or
Warriors.
I'm
I'm sorry.
not 100 yards, but like a mile and a half from them, because the U.S. Coast Guard shadows that entire fleet to make sure that they're taken care of. So when they go out there and they go, oh, they do that little dot and it's all the way out in the middle of nowhere. And they're like, there's no one here to save us. Nope, the Coast Guard's right there. So you're full of crap on that. And then also when they go like, oh, we're going to head all the way over here. When they have that little dot and it shows the boat all the way out there, 90% of the time that's BS. They can see Dutch Harbor the whole time. The fishing grounds are so close for crabbing next to Dutch Harbor. So that show, I mean, those guys are nice guys. And I'm glad they made a crap ton of money. Shout out to the Norwegian rat, which is, I believe it was Sid, the cat. There's only,
Big.
for the longest time in Dutch Harbor, there's one bar. And it was a crappy dirt hole, creepy place. And he made another bar called the Norwegian Rat. It's right on the water. It's amazing. They got cornhole all night. It's awesome. But for the most part, that show's full of shit. Battlefish was extremely accurate on how that fishery works.
See,
Well, Alex, thank you for ruining core memories of fishing. I really appreciate
That's
it.
what I can do.
He's a dream killer, Armando.
I know.
He is
I
a
was like,
dream killer. He's over here to ruin
golly.
everybody's dreams and childhood dreams. I can't say any more than he's a dream killer. And you should drop him off the show, put him in a 5-minute timeout for being a dream killer. Because I don't even listen to him when he starts talking gibberish like this.
Shout out to our boy Drew Turner from Paddlers
Pacific
Playbook
Warriors.
for the research. Pacific Warriors. That's what it was. It had that. And Drew, if you're still on Google, what's the name of that female angler that was? She was actually did freediving. She did an episode with what's the name of that show again? Meat Eaters. Steve Ranella when they went to Hawaii to do some spearfishing. That woman is badass. That was not fake. That woman would go like literally dive down, free diving for tuna or whatever fish out there. She's legit. She is legit. So Paul Hill hates people joking.
Dude, that's the best take. That's the best take right there.
Oh man, Drew coming in and clutch with the singer.
Here's the thing about fishing, and again, why I think YouTube was so successful is because people could take a fishing trip where they caught a fish or two and make it exciting enough for folks to tune in and watch 10 or 15 or 20 minutes. Greg Blanchard's a great example of that. He'll put a 20-minute video out there and catch a couple fish, but he's so engaging. He does a great job of it. He's up there with, he's on a level of his own.
I've heard he's a great
is
guest
boring.
too.
I
just
know.
haven't been there.
That's not my fault. But the fishing is boring as hell to watch. It is not a spectator sport.
No.
It is not, it's a hard TV sport to watch. It's just it's boring, and we all go out there and fish. And Armando, you and me go spend 8 hours out there fishing in a tournament to catch 2 fish that we paid $40, $50, $60, $250 to be in, and it can get boring out there actually fishing. I mean, how many people in a tournament do you hear load their shit up and leave at 12 o'clock because they ain't even got a bite, and they're like, I'm not doing this anymore. how you expect somebody to come out there and watch 8 hours of fishing when you got people fishing the tournament are out there leaving?
I think it's and I have to cut it short because I know the wife's almost done with dinner, so I have to we have to continue this episode. But I'll say this: I don't think it's. I know we in kayak fishing we always say if tournaments to get to the next level, it would be great to have live show like live streaming. What they do in the basketball world. You can't have a camera guy sitting on your kayak like you do in the basketball world. So the logistics are different. I agree with Paul. I think a lot of times you get to see there's a lot of sports out there that what they do is condense the highlight and you can make like an hour, even a 2-hour episode of highlights. And I think people will watch that. If you get
tell the story,
big hooks and a big bass every 5 mints and the story of how they catch it and all that, I think that brings
Losing it.
that can be done. Hobie BOS, not the Hobie BOS. I'm sorry. Give me a second.
POS.
The Hobie fishing channel on YouTube does that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watch that way.
A great job.
A great job
of it.
A great job of condensing that and just putting a great, 30, 45 minute YouTube channel of breakdown of, certain like the TLC or whatever lake they fished. Yep. But having said that, I've had you for almost an hour, and I do appreciate it. I know if it's up to Paul, we'll be here until 3 a.m. But I do appreciate you guys taking the time. I want to give you a couple of minutes to, shout out where people can follow you, listen to you, sponsors if you have them. Thank anybody that you want to thank for, making life easier for you guys to do this.
Yeah,
Alex,
Paul,
you can go first.
Yep, I'll take care of this. So first, I'd like to thank our sponsors.
We've got individual stuff we can talk about too. So don't be cutting me off.
No, that's fine. So first and foremost, I'd like to thank our sponsors. We'd be nowhere without our sponsors, and that's me. I'm the only one that pays for stuff to get this show out. So thank you
Alex
to
is
me.
our only sponsor.
No, you can find us on we are on Instagram, Bass Brews Podcast. Be completely honest, that's we don't touch that. But you can find us on TikTok. That's our primary platform. We've got snippets from shows, behind the scenes looks, other creative stuff that Jabberhammer's not involved in because he's not too smart. You can find us on almost every podcasting platform. Listen, if you like to listen to audiobooks, I even got us pushed out on Audible. You can go on Audible right now. You can look up Bass
for smart people.
I know, right? That's what I'm trying to get, some smart people. I've been hanging around with Paul. I'm trying to get some smart people because he's not very smart. So, but you can find us on all those platforms. I do suck at tying knots. Well, no, I don't. Shit, I admitted it. Damn it. No, you can find us all over there. You can also hit us up on bassandbrewspodcast.com. We've got a fledgling website there. But other than that, if you guys enjoyed our special brand of BS, we'd love to have you along.
Yeah. When does the episode air? Usually
Fridays. Oh yeah, that was probably good. Man, you're way more of a professional than us.
Alex is back. The usually is out.
Yeah.
They do air at 5 a.m.
Friday now. 5 a.m. Friday. You can get episodes again. Like I said, anywhere you can get podcasts. If you want the shit.
Yeah, thanks, Alex.
Yeah.
I think that was a long shot anyways, Drew, but yeah.
Maybe. And then if you want the video version, because we do post that out, that's on Swamp Rat Fishing on YouTube.
Alex, this is what I have to say for you talking junk to me.
Okay.
For the next hour.
That's it. That's
you can find me on all the same stuff that Alex says. Actually, you can't, except for the podcast, because he doesn't put me on the tick-tack anymore. But you can follow me on Paul Hills or Jabberhammer on TikTok. Same thing with Instagram. Paul Roberts on Facebook. I do have a YouTube channel, but all I do is post stupid shorts. They're entertaining. They only take 7 seconds of your life, and 7 seconds you'll never get back. I have a podcast that I just started recently called Entertainingly Educational that comes out on Mondays, sometime between 12 a.m. and 11:59 p.m. And it's new, still finding our voice. It's a wide range of folks that come on. Outside of that, Armando, thanks for having us on, man.
Yeah,
You're
thank you,
frozen.
Armando.
I hope you can hear us, but thanks for having us on. This is a good time.
Oh, dude, he
We
dropped
always
out.
enjoy. Yes,
Hold
it's
on,
our
he dropped
podcast.
out. It's our podcast now.
Yes,
All right, everybody.
okay. All right,
He's out.
Alex.
All right,
why are
we got
you
another hour.
overrated?
Why am I overrated? Because I make content that I think is super cinematic, but really it's just pretentious. Paul, why are
Because-
you overrated?
I'm not. I mean, I think I'm underrated because I only speak truths, and I understand that I'm not good at making video. I'm not good at making ticket tax,
Wait,
and
this is not how this bit was supposed to go. You were supposed to do it too. I was self-deprecating and you weren't.
well, I mean, this is what happened when somebody turns the reins over to us.
Dude, this is the best thing ever. Look, it's still running. This is
Hey,
Armando's fans. I hope you guys
know-
love this because I'm so happy.
Now I know how the one cast guys felt.
Yeah,
He's trying to come.
he's trying to come back
He's
in.
back. Armando, don't
Golly.
go back and listen to the last 45 seconds. Don't do it. Just let it.
Make
Well,
sure
I
to
have
leave
to
it in
just
there.
edit it out.
Nope.
I don't think you
edit
guys. I think we all drop off. Didn't we?
No, I was
Nope,
here.
just
Alex
you.
and I were here.
So it's got to be my internet.
It's your internet.
My
You're
wife
that
has,
guest.
my wife is probably using the Wi-Fi to listen to some murder podcast. So
All right.
that's probably
So-
why. But yeah, so
He's listening to Bass Brews,
Bass Brews,
probably.
yeah.
well, anyways, I apologize.
No, that's all good.
I
dude. We-
apologize for.
We held it all for you, but
everyone.
thanks. But seriously, thanks for having us on, Armando.
Yes.
I love talking to you. Ever since we got connected, and I have you on, you had me on yours, and we text back and forth about stuff, and it's always been great. So Alex and I always love when we get the chance to come on somebody else's podcast because then we don't have to do any work, and especially with good ones like this. So happy to see how you roll into new venture with Dan. But thanks for having us on, man. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure, and thank you guys for the support. I know you guys been supporting me since the beginning. Reason why I met you guys, I was listening to your podcast, and I heard when Paul gave me a shout out. I think he was complimenting my cracking beer technique when I
Yes,
started my show.
yes.
So that's how
Yeah.
we got started. So I appreciate you guys supporting us. So for those out there listening, I do apologize for the technical failures on my part. I'm gonna have to get the. I hope I don't.
You need to get your
lose any
IT team
followers
on
for
that,
those
Armando.
podcasts.
Get your
I'll
IT
have
team on
Drew
that.
Turner. Yeah. Drew Turner has been coming in clutch all episodes, so maybe he can help me out. But again, thanks you guys. I really appreciate it. This is my first live show, and I really wanted to have two experienced podcasters for this same reason. So I appreciate it. You guys are awesome, and I look forward to everything you guys bring to the table as far as your podcast, your brand, your social media, and you're always welcome to back to the show, man. Whenever you
Well,
want.
we appreciate it. We're experienced podcasters for sure, but you set the bar pretty low for everybody else, so your show can only go up from here.
Perfect. Thank you, Armando.
Well, with that, for those out there listening, again, if you're listening on our on the podcast on the MP3, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts, just give us your 5-star review. We do appreciate it. It does help out with the growth of the podcast. Big thank you to the sponsor, Douglas Outdoors. Go to douglasoutdoors.com. Check out the full lineup of LRS, X Matrix, and award-winning fly fishing rods. If you're going to be on the water, please wear your PFDs. If you're going to have a couple of beers while you're out there, just make sure you drink responsibly. Make sure you make it back home to your loved ones. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Love you all. Have a great day. Peace.